Hi guys, welcome to the channel Practical Reefer. My name's Mark and I'm not dead. I've been busy the last few weekends. A couple of weeks ago I was on the Scottish Isle of Tiree, which is a beautiful little island, stunning beaches. I was meant to be doing the ultra there, the ultra marathon, which is 35 miles. However, I hung out with the dog while the other half did the ultra. So congratulations to her on that, and I enjoyed my day watching her run. I've hurt my leg and stuff, so running's kind of out for me, but I'm going along. I've got the dog now, so someone needs to look after the dog. Just a little update on the tank. Obviously, it's been a couple of weeks. I was away that weekend from I think it was like the Wednesday to the Monday, and came back, Tuesday was just sorting stuff out, and last weekend I was busy as well. So tank's doing okay, fighting a little bit of green hair algae. I was overfeeding for the last couple of months, to be fair. I've been doing it for quite a while. I was adding pellets in the morning, a full cube of frozen at night time, or late afternoon, and I was getting away with it okay. It wasn't really a problem. I had this little bit of algae. However, I've just noticed recently it's just kind of kicked up and green hair algae started to pop up. So I actually cleaned the tank last night and got rid of a fair bit of it, just kind of scrubbing things with a toothbrush or the nylon scrubbing brush that you've seen. Or the nylon wire brush, that kind of thing you'll get from like B&M's or a tool shop. For a couple of pounds you'll get a pack of 3, but 2 of them are normally metal. So kind of cleared a bit of that, and the urchin's still doing his thing. He did drop his little GSP cape, which is an issue because now I'm playing where is my urchin and what is he doing, because I've kind of moved some frags about out the way, and this rock's here, which is not where it was before. I'm just seeing things moving a bit in the tank. So yeah, I've just been kind of busy, so that's why there's been no videos. So the tank's doing pretty well, apart from that green hair algae. So what I've done, I cleaned it last night, I removed a fair bit. Also I've got the urchin doing his thing. I've cut back feeding, I've also cut back the lighting. I've sort of taken an hour off the start and the end of the day to cut me down from, I was on from about 8:30 till 5:30. So it was like 9 hours a day, so I'm now down to about 7, although it's on a bit later tonight. So cut down a couple of hours of light, and I've also been switching off the lights most of the whites most of the time, so I've got just the blues. Whether that makes a massive difference, it might make just a little bit more to do with the intensity rather than the spectrum, because algae is a greedy organism. Doesn't really matter. I don't think whether it's whites or blues will make a huge difference. I think a lot of people have said that in the past, and out of habit I've kind of done it. But the problem with the whites, as soon as they're on, they're not at like 1 or 2% on this type of light. I've got the fleas on black box, so it kind of, you're at like 10% instantly with the white, red and green spectrum of the lights that I've got. So even if I just put them on bare minimum, it makes quite a big difference. And it's half the diodes in the light, and the other half are just pure blue, which is what I'm running. So done that, and things like my GSP on this bit of rock had like lots of algae like in between it, and it was closing up. And I'll show you my zoas as well. Like I dipped all those frags in hydrogen peroxide a few weeks ago. They're all beautifully clean, and then it's just because it's like a sort of virgin surface, or like a non-mature surface, then the algae went, oh, I'll have that. As opposed to like when things start to get mature and like your rock and things, then other bacteria and organisms kind of colonize it, and then the algae doesn't get a foothold. Whereas I find dipping it with hydrogen peroxide, because I've got that little probably imbalance of nutrients and extra light, then it's like, oh, the frag plugs are nice and clean, the algae just goes in there straight away. So I've cut back my feeding slightly, I've cut back the lighting slightly, and turned off the whites as part of cutting back the amount of light. And I was going to dose Vibrant, which I did before, and I had an issue with getting a bit of cyano and stuff. So what I decided to do instead, I've seen people in the past have actually dosed hydrogen peroxide into the tank. So I'm doing a little experiment. It's only 2 millilitres per, well, it's 1 milliliter per 10 gallons. So I've added 2 millilitres to the tank, and you have to do that every day for 7 days. So I'll keep an eye on it. If anything starts to look odd, I'll just quit it, and I can always do it again later on. But I believe it's up for about 7 days max. It's kind of limited information, but I thought I'd give it a little try, because all my corals in there aren't really going to have any big concerns with the hydrogen peroxide. Like my zoas can be dipped directly into it. Same with the mushrooms, and like the GSP and stuff can be dipped into that. So the only thing is maybe the clove polyps might not like it, but I think, you know, 1 mil into 10 gallons isn't going to cause me any issues with my clove polyps. Shouldn't do anyway. I'm just looking at some notes here. So yeah, we'll see next week. As a little bit of a test. It's much too, like Vibrant, I'm sure it cost me like £35 for a bottle that would have done a tank, you know, 100 times the size of this for a couple of months. It's ridiculous. I think, I don't know, they could have just done a smaller bottle for £10-15 or something. Like the size of the bottle will do huge tanks for, and I don't know if it's a continuous dosing thing, but you know, 35 quid is no huge loss, but a bit of a pain. And I found I got cyano when I used it, so I thought I'd try the hydrogen peroxide first, just see if that would just attack the algae and see how it goes, and it'd be interesting to see the results. Now, big thing, I had big plans last night. The plan last night and tonight was to take a lot of these rocks out, scrub off the green hair algae, give the tank a really good clean, and kind of get it back into a good place, because I was away that weekend and I was busy last weekend. Kept on top of maintenance, but the green hair algae kind of popped up. So the idea was to scrub the rock that was there. I was probably going to take chunks of it out and give it a good scrub. I did with one or two smaller bits. And then to do the same with the frag rack, get that all scrubbed, probably dip the frags again. And then I was going to frag all my zoas, keep a spare frag of each if I had the ability to do that, if there was enough polyps. Pop them into this little tank here and probably the frag rack. So get rid of this frag rack because it's getting ugly. I've had it out and cleaned it a few times, but also I struggle then to clean the glass on this side. So get the frag rack out, get a frag of each of the zoas out, and then place one of each of the zoas onto the rockwork. So I was going to have a little sort of pally garden, my zoa garden, probably a couple of those to be fair, and get all my zoas placed and get them starting to grow and to get the tank look like a proper reef tank. Because I've been a bit sort of, I've not committed to placing any of my zoas. Now I've got loads to choose from. I'll be able to put contrasting colours next to each other and it will look good, but I've just kind of kept them on that frag rack. So I need to now commit to doing that and getting things in the tank. However, when I went to start to clean my tank last night, and I was kind of halfway through, and I also have this little tank which I've never spoken of, so focus on this a little bit. This has always just been a kind of little spare tank. Now I used this to acclimate my saltwater mollies, at least the two females, which is this one here and another female which is just in that box temporarily in the main tank. You can't really see the box there, but it's just off to the side. Now that's what I'd used this tank for, and I had it for about a month, and there was a female in there which I thought was pregnant, and it kind of went on for ages. And just as I started cleaning the tanks last night, I looked into this tank and I found baby mollies. And I was kind of expecting that, and I was like, right, let's get these zoas placed. I want to start getting my tank looking nice. So last night I did that and I found it, and there's probably about 40 baby mollies in here again now. So the first little batch of mollies which I had, now the female's swimming across, she's just in view there, right in the middle. She dropped some babies when I first acclimated them to sort of halfway into saltwater. And they've went off to friends. I've got half a dozen there which made it all the way. The tiny little one here that you might just see, there's a couple of little ones. And then this one obviously went to full term and had a full clutch or a full belly of babies. So she's had 40 plus mollies. It looks like that, it's quite hard to count, but we were pretty convinced it's a good 40. So that kind of put that on hold, because I was wanting to get rid of this ugly rack, get the zoas dipped if they were looking a bit hairy in terms of algae, and then start getting things placed and get the tank into a nice place where it actually looks good. So I've now got 40 baby mollies in here. What I did do as well, you'll see some of my red grape, the Botrocladia is just there floating about. I do still have a little bit in the main tank on the rock that's there. You probably won't see it, it's kind of doubled over. Now because I've got the little bit of hydrogen peroxide and that should kill the green hair algae, I've read a couple of mixed reports on macros and Cheeto and different things were okay or they weren't okay. So what I've done is my green bush, so you'll see the frag rack across the middle, this one here, which was the frag rack that was down there before, on either end of where that piece of egg crate is, I had my red-haired chondria, and I had the green bush algae, which is cladophora, I think it was. So I've chucked both those rocks in here, and also the benefit of that is that both of them had micro brittle stars on them, copepods and bits and pieces, and it's probably good feeding for the baby mollies as well. So, but it also keeps them out of the tank in case the little bit of hydrogen peroxide I'm putting in there kills off those algae which I want to keep. So I'm pretty happy with that. So what I'll do, I'll quickly show you the state of my zoas, because the green hair algae is just, it's crept up on it really quick. I don't know if it was just a perfect storm of me been feeding for quite a while, and I didn't have any nuisance algae really for quite a bit of time with the sort of heavier feeding, but it's just crept up, and it's like now the frag plugs are quite, some of them are quite bad. A lot of the zoas haven't closed and they're still open and they're doing okay, but the frag plugs look awful. And then also I'll show you the baby mollies. There's loads of them. It's not the prettiest looking tank, it's just, you know, it's got some live rock in there, there's a filter, there's a heater. There's bits of filter floss on top of this frag rack because there's nothing on it and I didn't want any algae to grow on it, so I've just put some old bits of filter floss which I used to seed it initially, and it just keeps from algae growing on the frag tiles for when it's fully cycled and mature and stuff. So but I'll let you see some of the babies. There's some other stuff in that tank which we will talk about, just I shouldn't have got. So I'll let you see them and we'll come back in just a second. So guys, this is the tank as it is. One thing I will say that I didn't mention there, I have actually, by means of extending the little tubes, I kept the longer tube and then added an even longer one in place of the shorter one. So my ATO now kicks in when the water level is a bit lower. Obviously I removed some salt water while doing this, so now the water level is a good centimetre lower, because what I found, which was a total nightmare, was as soon as the water touches either these brackets, this one's been cleaned, so that's not so bad, this one needs a clean one at a later date. Whenever water was touching these, it just, capillary action just let the water suck up the inside of this bracket over the glass, and then I would end up with a little sort of bead of water underneath here, and then occasionally it would just be a drip running down, and you know, there's a little bit of, see a little bit of salt creep around there, because it was there's a couple of days where it was quite bad and just, it's a pain. So I've actually dropped the level of the tank just a centimetre, just to avoid a lot of that salt creep. Now this filter has just been turned right down. Now you see there, a lot of my zoas look really good. I've got scrambled eggs, oh there's so many, gobstoppers, bambams, rainbow rhinos, speckled fire and ice, something from MOC which I don't have a name for, Hawaiian sunsets. There's all sorts in there. Now you'll see probably like the Rasta's cousin, there's a few of those closed up. My LA Lakers is looking a bit swamped, although they're still open. That candy apple red I got with one head, and I can see there now at least 7, maybe 8. Tutti Frutti's doing alright. That Gatorade was a single polyp, which is now at least 5. So there's quite a lot coming on there. LA Lakers is one of the bad ones. Now these were the ones I got from a fellow reefer, so it was like Sunny D's, Rainbow Incinerator, there's a Rasta there. You know, you can see them getting covered in the sort of hair algae. I'll come from the side, because now I've dropped this, when I turn it down I still get quite a big ripple, which is a pain for filming, but I'll get something sort of that. So you can see there's a few of them, they look awful from the side. So dealing with that, we'll see how the hydrogen peroxide does. Hopefully it does kill it a bit. And then also, this is basically my, what we call a sort of bargain bucket. It was 10 zoas for £25. One or two of them's up on the rack actually. So there's a pallet at the back there. There's a couple of nice ones actually, so pretty happy with those. So that's where they stand just now. But that's how the tank's looking. Nothing too bad. This was my a rock I got from Nessie, so there's some really nice zoas on there. That's the little clam that I've got. That's a little single polyp, which I'm not quite sure is. I think are they eagle eyes or something? There's a few little clumps of those in there, so that was a nice one. There's another one that came from Nessie's, unnamed, like £10 or something. Some stunning GSP there, really nice. Now I'm part of getting rid of this rack is probably going to put GSP up this side glass, so I've got this piece of GSP here, there's another piece which might get chipped off that rock, and then there's a third piece at the back there, which, where is my urchin and what is he doing, which is my worry of the day. He's shed off his little GSP cape and he's gone for a wander. He's been quite good actually. He was over here at one point, chewing on algae, so we'll see how he goes, but I'm worried that he's going to have a go at this rack and just take half the frags with him. So we'll see what happens. I've got this one here as well. I quite like these. See if I can get that. It's not the best because I'm tilting on the glass. They're really nice, but I feel like the other ones on that piece of rock are overtaking it, so I need to get these fragged before they disappear. Blenny's enjoying a new little hiding spot because that's where my two macroalgae were. So that's how the tank is. Not too bad, but just fighting a little bit of algae again. But obviously cut back feeding, lighting, and a little bit of hydrogen peroxide into the tank. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it'd be nice to get a lot of these fragged just so I've got a copy of it or a spare, and then I'll get the rest onto the rockwork because they do look really good. But it'd be nice to get it on the rockwork and actually get the tank looking like a reef tank. So guys, here's a good chunk of the baby mollies. Excuse the little whining noise. I've turned the hang-on back filter down to like minimum flow because I've just thrown some food in. What I do, I actually just take the Vitalis pellets and just crunch them up. There's quite a few at the bottom there. A couple along the heater, there's more there. About 30 or 40 of these, so there's plenty in there. Does it come out a wee bit? Yes, a good chunk in there. Also, because I was dosing a little bit of hydrogen peroxide into the main tank, my green bush macroalgae, which is Cladiflora prolifera, my red hair chondria, and most of my red grape macroalgae, which is, oh, I keep forgetting the name of it, but it's red grape macroalgae. That's in this tank here, so it's fine. And also there's a lot of pods. There's also micro brittle stars on it, one of the nice red ones there, possibly it came from Robert. Oh, it looks like another one in there as well. There's another little arm sticking out. There's another one. I'm guessing that's not the same because they're quite far apart. There'll be more of those. There was one kicking about in this little box here. Excuse that box. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, so loads of the baby mollies. I've moved over the macroalgae, so there's lots of copepods in those as well. And bits of life that hopefully the babies can feed off of. There's tons in there, there's loads hiding at the bottom. It's not the best looking tank, but it's fairly clean in terms of, you know, apart from a bit of detritus, it doesn't take much to just scrape a bit of algae off now and again and give it a wee clean. And obviously I've got this filter floss on top of that top rack because when it was cycling and getting a lot of light, it ended up like this. But it was great habitat for copepods to breed in and feed the little baby mollies I had in before, so wasn't too worried about that. I mean, you look at that one there, it's having a good go at something in there, so it's kind of a nice little bit of habitat. Obviously it's pretty ugly and obviously helps with filtration a little bit, but I don't want to have to clean all of these tiles. So I've just put some filter floss on top. It also seeded the bacteria for starting the cycle as well, so that's the way I've done it. There's loads at the bottom there, but it's a pretty easy tank to clean because there's bare bottom, so the flow just gets rid of a lot of detritus. And when I do clean it out, I make sure to get a power head and clean up under these rocks and stuff and make sure there's not a lot left. So yeah, loads of little baby mollies, really happy with those. So guys, that was just a quick update tonight. It's just kind of the state of play of the tank. Obviously I was keen to get this into a nicer place with my frag stack to grow over the rockwork, but we'll do that over the next couple of weeks. I'm off next week, so I'll spend a bit of time doing that. It's nice to have all the baby mollies. We'll sort them out, but that'll be great for some other people. It saves them acclimating them as well. And the male is actually now starting to get on with the female molly. He's had his fin nipped a little bit again, but I think things have settled down. Him and the first female that went into that tank have been in the process of making some more baby mollies, so they'll probably be coming in the next couple of months. Certainly he's been letting her make advances, so that looks good. This little tank has been very, very handy. It was never really the intention, but I saw it for 20 quid on Amazon a few months ago, and it got filled up. It was good as a little backup. It's got some live rock in there, and you know, the plan is to put some frags in it. It's nice to have a duplicate in case something gets overgrown in the main tank or stuff like that, but the idea would be to have some frags of all my zoas in there just as a little copy. And then the plan is to try and get all the pallies together so they're kind of very similar. And if there's any fast growing ones, then obviously we'll deal with that, or any very slow growing ones, then it's nice to have a little spare frag of it just in case it gets overrun. And I don't want to end up having to do loads of mucking about in the tank with the scape, because some of the scape's actually quite large and I don't want to have to lift it out or have both my hands in the tank trying to frag zoas and stuff. I'd rather just leave the tank as much as I can once the zoas are in. So that's the kind of thought behind taking a frag and having that on this flat deck where I can remove the frag tiles and give them to people or sell them, or put them back in the tank somewhere else if I want to do that. I don't want to have to faff about in the tank as much as I can help it. So yeah, that's kind of the state of play with me. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done a video. I just thought, let you guys see the tank a bit. A little bit of green hair algae cropping up, but I think that's because of the, almost when you do the hydrogen peroxide dip, it's like a fresh surface. But I do have some other bits on the rock work, but I managed to remove a lot of that last night. Nothing too bad, but it was on its way to starting to become a problem. So we'll see how that goes over the next week. We'll get a little update, see what the what I'm feeding now is half a cube of frozen, reduce the lighting by a couple of hours a day, and probably and the intensity a little bit, and a little dosage of hydrogen peroxide. One of the videos did say to do that at night time after lights out. I'm not quite sure what the difference makes, whether the light has an issue with hydrogen peroxide, or it makes it behave differently under light. But I'll do it at night time and see, every 24 hours per week we'll see how we go. But hope you enjoyed the video, guys. It was just a very quick update. It was kind of informal. It's more about just if you're following along with the tank, it's nice to see it, and feel that I've not dropped off the face of the earth. But got some other videos coming soon which are a bit more planned and a bit more focus on them. But thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for all the new subscribers, and thanks for your likes and comments. Let me know what you think, and also as well, I've had a few questions recently. This is still 100% natural seawater, with the exception of one water change. There was a time where work, tide times, the fact that it had been raining recently meant that I couldn't collect natural seawater for a couple of weeks when I was due to collect it. And I've got the RODI and I've got a couple of kilos of salt ready. So I've done one water change in this tank with artificial salt mix, and everything else has been natural seawater. No issues so far. As long as you're collecting at the right times, your salinity's fine, and I've not had any issues with anything else. I've had a little bit of hair algae, but so does everyone. I wouldn't say that's down to the natural seawater, but other than that, I've had no issues. I've lost one fish, which I think was due to a scare at night time when I came in and switched on the light. It was a little goby, which you've seen it in my previous videos. But other than that, I've not lost no major coral losses, apart from maybe like mushrooms when the nutrients were really low. But absolutely 100% or 99.9% natural seawater, and it's still doing great. So I'm really, really happy with that. But it'd be nice to just get the algae cleared away and get the zoas grown over and actually have a nice reef tank. But I'm still only about 6 months in, so still early doors. And over the next few months we'll get there. But again, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all your likes, and don't forget to subscribe, and give me a little comment below. Catch you later, guys.